TJM Products has been improving comfort, safety and practicability for four-wheel drivers for a quarter of a century. Bull bars, suspensions, canopies, auxiliary equipment for four-wheel drives and commercial vehicles. TJM is an Australian success story. Starting out as a business in a small shed, today the headquarters in Brisbane distributes products to all states in Australia and around the world. Distributors' names read like the monitor at an international airport. The US, Japan, Africa, Europe, Egypt, Asia. Now, with a quarter of a century of experience in manufacturing specialist vehicle equipment, TJM leads the world in developing products to make life on and off the road safer and more comfortable. While most companies would throw a party to celebrate 25 years of successful business, the people from TJM decide to put that experience to the test, to cross Australia by the toughest and most arduous route, from Steep Point, the westernmost point, to Cape Byron, the easternmost point of the continent. TJM challenges the outback to show just how and why TJM products are the market leaders in manufacturing off-road equipment in the world today.
In 1998, we're celebrating our 25th anniversary of business and manufacturing four-wheel drive equipment. We've decided to go from the most westerly point in Australia to the most easterly point in a very short space of time. We believe that many people aspire to having four-wheel drives to do exactly what we're doing, and those who have four-wheel drives would certainly give their eye teeth to do what we're doing. And we're highlighting the importance of equipping vehicles properly for such a journey. Travelling long distances in a short space of time. It's a challenge. It's a long way right across the continent of Australia. The conditions are varied and they're demanding. While most people will not experience conditions as harsh and as tough as this trip's going to dish out for us, it's good to know that our equipment is designed and manufactured to handle the worst that this country can dish out.
4 primary vehicles are selected for the Across Australia expedition, and they're made ready. The petrol-powered Toyota 100 series Land Cruiser gets an airbag-compatible bull bar, a rear bar and tyre carrier to make way for a replacement TJM long-distance fuel tank. A TJM aluminium roof rack with wind deflectors goes on top, and Stylemaster aluminium side steps go on the side. An Airtex Snorkel will keep the Toyota breathing clean, dust-free air. Hella Predator xenon gas discharge driving lights are selected for night driving. CSA alloy rims and Yokohama tyres are fitted to the wheels. Suspension is proportional to drivability, and Series 2000 gas shockies, heavy-duty coil springs and a steering damper replacement will give the expeditioners the safety margin for a fast, hard crossing. Underbody water tanks will be essential for the long desert crossings. On the Mitsubishi Triton, a TJM polished aluminium bull bar heads up a similar raft of equipment to the Toyota. The TJM VSX dual battery system with Century 15-plate batteries is essential to run fridges and other camp equipment, and to keep the startability of the vehicles going when out of reach of your auto club mechanic. The Tourer top canopy turns the Triton into a self-contained long-distance travelling machine. The Nissan GQ cab chassis sports a colour-matched TJM heavy-duty steel bull bar, along with sidebars and steps. For more grunt in pulling heavy loads up sandhills, the engine's fitted with a TJM Turbodyne turbocharger system. The Nissan GU Patrol also gets a TJM airbag-compatible steel bull bar, sidebars and steps, a steel roof rack and a full kit of TJM accessories. Diff locks are added to both Nissans, and the 4 vehicles are ready for anything. And that's just what they're about to get. Perth, the start of it all. The expeditioners include key TJM personnel all ready for the challenge. Journalists from around the world and Ron Moon of Australia's 4x4 magazine. Last checks are made on the vehicles and the first 800-kilometre leg is made up the sealed Great Northern Highway from Perth to Steep Point, the point most western on the Australian mainland. To bring a little ritual into the crossing, a bottle of water from the Indian Ocean is collected here in the west. It'll be poured into the Pacific Ocean in less than 2 weeks' time if all goes well, mirroring the Leyland brothers when they did this trip some decades ago. They battled it across the continent in months. The TJM crossing will be measured in days. Almost immediately after departure, the challenge becomes greater. Starting the trip east, the unseasonal rain that's drenched all of inland Western Australia has closed all unsealed roads east of Steep Point. On day 2, the whole trip has been placed in jeopardy. But the schedule's been set. There's a 4-wheel drive show in 14 days' time that must be reached. The decision is made to head north to the Kimberleys and then back southeast over the Tanami Desert to Alice Springs and catch up with the original schedule. A detour of more than 2,000 kilometres.
Sunshine though at last, so that's really good. Hopefully it gets more as we go north, eh?
Yeah, that's right. That low came in 2 days ago and it dumped a lot of rain here.
And the bitumen is the only route to go, so we're heading to the Kimberleys. Bit of a change of plan, and hopefully everything will be fine up there.
Yeah, well, certainly a bit of a challenge for us, but we're equipped for it. The vehicle's equipped to handle anything this country can dish out, and we'll just have to do what we have to do to get to the East Coast.
Yeah, in the time allowed.
That's right.
Yeah.
On schedule.
Well, this is all about long-distance driving, isn't it? And taking everything as it comes, whether it's bitumen roads or dirt roads and all those sorts of
that's exactly
things.
it.
So it's a long, gut-busting day up the bitumen. More than 1,000 kilometres over the great shoulder of Western Australia. The expedition drives through the Kimberley town of Broome and almost immediately has to keep going in an attempt to catch up with the original schedule. From Broome, the vehicles strike into the Kimberley proper. Even now, running 1,000 kilometres behind the original schedule, the Kimberley magic weaves a spell on expedition members. Instead of the sand hills of the Canning, now there are rough tracks through a tropical paradise. Even with the unscheduled change in the route, the TJM accessories prove more than ready to handle a wide variety of new challenges. There are a few unexpected hiccups. Then onwards, through tropical creek crossings. This country was unknown to most four-wheel drivers only 2 decades ago. The TJM group winds through geological formations that seem to come from some fairy story. This is the Napier Range, limestone remnants of a prehistoric coral reef made when all this country was beneath the ocean. From the Kimberley, the expedition strikes southward now, running into the still very evident aftermath of the recent rain. This is the Tanami track, and the vehicles are now heading straight for Alice Springs.
The Tanami Desert is the shortest route between Western Australia, in the Kimberleys, Halls Creek, to Alice Springs in Central Australia. And this road, the Tanami Road, crosses this vast desert region called the Tanami Desert. Well, as you can see, it's a fairly well vegetated desert. It's not a real sand dune type desert, but it is a desert in the real sense of the word. Well, you'd think, looking at this, that nothing happens out here, but in fact the area is really rich in gold, and there are a number of huge gold mines in the area, and we'll see a few of them scattered down the road. That's why this road is so important. It's a link between Halls Creek and the Kimbleys and Alice Springs, and the traffic through here carrying fuel, food and ore between the mines. Processing plant is just down the road. The road, as you can see, is long and straight for most parts, very corrugated, and a long distance between fuel stops. 300, 400 kilometres is really common. And the main spot that most people stop at is at Rabbit Flat, another 180 kilometres down the track. It's very remote country, and people can die out here if they do the wrong thing. It's out here on in these sort of conditions, on these sort of roads, that you really notice the difference between a standard vehicle and a vehicle that's been set up for these sort of areas. And we're riding on Series 2000 suspension, and it's just cruising really well over these corrugations. And that's where you really do notice the difference between a standard suspension and an aftermarket suspension.
The expedition crosses the state boundary.
The Tanami track has given us our most severe conditions of the journey so far, and we've used this as an opportunity to test our new prototype shock absorbers, which we only received days before the beginning of our journey. The new prototype shock absorbers are handling the conditions extremely well, far in excess of our expectations. We've had no failures. They're controlling the heavy loads we've put on these vehicles extremely well, and show no signs of failure at all. Our conditions have been extremely rugged, especially on this track. Corrugations are very bad. We've encountered extremely corrugated roads, wet conditions, muddy, deep potholes. All the time the vehicles have handled these situations, giving us perfect control with no reliability problems at all. If you're coming out here for a trip and you want to equip your vehicle with something very reliable, our shock absorbers will give you the confidence to travel these tracks, knowing that you won't have any failures and they'll handle the loads that you have to place on your vehicles to travel these distances. Probably one of the nicest things we've encountered is the improvement on the ride conditions you get with the shock absorbers, as well as giving you superior control. All the vehicles are quite comfortable to travel in. They're not showing signs of excessive, harsh rides at all. We have a standard equipped vehicle travelling with us at the moment. The occupants of this vehicle have continuously been impressed with the exceptional ride of our Series 2000 equipped vehicles over their standard vehicle. And in fact, probably tonight we'll be replacing their original equipped shock absorbers and springs with Series 2000 shock absorbers and springs to continue the rest of the journey.
On the Tarsiel, there's not a lot of difference, but once you hit this sort of road and the kind of conditions that we've had over the last couple of days, there's a huge difference. And you go from, say, the DX diesel into the other patrol that you're running here with your Series 2000 equipment, and it actually amounts to not just the ride comfort, but it makes a difference in how fast you can actually negotiate the road. It's probably in the order of 20 to 30 k, and a vast increase in the ride comfort as well. And that's a surprising thing to me, just what a huge difference there is in actual on-road performance. But I've never been exposed to the kind of conditions that we've had in the last few days. And I've been surprised at the vastness, even though you know it's there. It's not till you actually experience it, and you just, as far as the eye can see, it just stretches into the distance, and the road goes for hundreds of miles straight. It's just incredible.
From the end of the Tanami, it's only a matter of hours to Uluru, this very famous Australian icon in the very heart of the country. From Uluru, the expedition heads for Alice Springs, now successfully back on the original schedule after a detour of 2,000 kilometres.
We left Alice Springs yesterday morning, came out along the eastern MacDonnell Ranges, cut through some magnificent mesa-type country, sheer bluffs and that sort of thing, and then turned south along a beautiful sand ridge that's on the very western edge of the Simpson Desert. We wound down through to Old Andado Station,
into South Australia and the Wajira National Park, through Mount Dare Station and onto a camp at Dalhousie Springs.
It's Dalhousie Springs. It's a magnificent spot, an oasis in this desert country. Dalhousie Springs is one of the mound springs of this region. This water, natural outpourings of the Great Artesian Basin. This water starts off in the Great Dividing Range and takes 1 million years to bubble up here. It's a fantastic place.
From Dalhousie, the expedition strikes out over wide, flat expanses and into the sandhills of the Simpson Desert. Recent rains have turned the desert into a garden. Wildflowers carpet the sand. Perny Bore is where artesian water gushes from the ground, hot and steaming. A lunch break is called here and necessary chores done, like fixing punctured tyres. The tyre pliers are invaluable to break the bead on the big radial tyres. Once the bead is broken on both sides, removal of the tyre is simple. A little lubrication is the secret in replacing the new tyre. And with a little knowledge, even big tubeless tyres can be inflated in the bush. The TJM Tourer top canopy on the Mitsubishi Triton is standing up to the trip well, and has turned a basic commercial vehicle into a roomy, dust-free travelling machine.
This Tourer top canopy has just travelled 6,500 kilometres and is still keeping the dust out. This Tourer top canopy has travelled some of the harshest and most enduring roads the country has to offer, and everything inside is still clean, tidy and secure. TJM products manufacture the Tourer top range of canopies for most popular four-wheel drive and commercial vehicles. This trip's proven that this Tourer top canopy can stand up to any conditions Australia has to offer.
From Perny, the cars travel deep into the Simpson, turning onto the French line. All sandhills now have live sand. The vehicles are continuously in four-wheel drive now. They're going as slow and tough. And out in the desert, there's a passing. While the TJM expedition is crossing west to east from Steep Point to Cape Byron, David Mason is doing the trip east to west at a much more leisurely pace, walking with 3 camels. David's been using his ample spare time to learn Banjo Patterson poetry and puts on an impromptu recital.
Ask a wild duck, can it swim, or a wildcat, can it fight? For there's nothing clothed in hair nor hide or built of flesh or steel. There's nothing walks or runs or jumps on axle, hoof or wheel. But what I'll sit, while hide will hold and girths and scraps are tight, I'll ride this here two-wheel machine right straight away at sight.
The expedition continues into the Simpson. Sandhill after sandhill is climbed. There'll be more than 1,000 to cross before reaching the other side. Late in the afternoon, camp is called.
We're about 10 kilometres from the Colson's track, about 100 k's in from the western edge of the desert. So we're right in the heart of the Simpson, along the French line, which was the original route, the first route across the desert. Well, with the right gear, you can live quite well out here in the desert country. Good camp oven, or a couple of good camp ovens, a billy, and a bit of fresh tucker, good fridge, a few spices. You'll live like a king.
The schedule is challenging. Camp is broken 2 hours before daylight. Hella spotlights turn night into day as the group pushes eastward, ever eastward through the desert. It just doesn't get any more remote than this. In the middle of the Simpson, your survival depends on your four-wheel drive and how it's fitted out. The long distance and slogging conditions of the Simpson make increased fuel capacity essential. The expedition's TJM long-distance replacement fuel tanks more than met the challenge, allowing the vehicles to cross the desert without any extra fuel containers. TJM underbody water tanks supplied enough water to meet the needs of survival in the desert. Then come the ephemeral lakes of the Simpson Desert, huge flat salt pans. These are quite safe if you stick to the tracks, but can be quite treacherous if you get a little adventurous. A good chance to check out recovery using the TJM Snatch-'em strap. The TJM automatic locking front diff on the Nissan assists in putting all available power to the ground, and both vehicles reach the safety of the lake's edge. And in crossing Lake Popal, the expedition reaches Popal's Corner. It's here 3 states meet: Queensland, Northern Territory and South Australia, and it's a major milestone in the long crossing. The sandhills continue to come thick and fast. Then the biggest one of all, Big Red. Big Red is a mountain of a sandhill and a challenge for the heavily laden 4-wheel drives. The Nissan GU Patrol runs the hill first, and the TJM automatic locking diff, with the traction from the Yokohama Geolanders, pulls the heavy vehicle through the soft live sand at the top of Big Red. The Toyota 100 Series follows. The TJM Series 2000 suspension allows a fast approach to the hill, and the big beefy petrol engine powers the 3-ton unit over the top of the biggest sandhill. It's the Triton's turn, and car and driver don't meet the challenge on the first run. The second attempt is successful. The heavily laden Nissan GQ Trayback has several goes, but can't quite make it.
I tried all the possibilities there were. Tried it in high gear, low gear, whatever. And with 600 kilos in the back, I think it's going to be difficult.
He tried everything, and it's what, 6 inches away from the top, and he can't get past it. But it's cool. It's a good, challenging dune.
Once more, it's time for the Snatch-'em strap, and the heavy truck eases over the top. All vehicles are over Big Red. The Simpson Desert is behind the expedition, and the 4-wheel drives enter the outback Queensland town of Birdsville. The Birdsville pub is probably the most famous outback hotel in Australia, and has welcomed tens of thousands of desert travellers after their Simpson crossing. Travelling south from Birdsville, there's a taste of Sturt's stony desert, a huge expanse of gibbers left behind after 1 million years of erosion. But there are still rough roads to negotiate, travelling from Birdsville down to Inaminka and into the beautiful Cooper Creek country. The small outback centre of Inaminka, and there are plenty of camping grounds on the banks of beautiful Cooper Creek. From Inaminka, the expedition is on track eastwards again. Heading straight east now on the last of the dirt as the weather closes in. Airtex Snorkels are fitted to all vehicles to reduce dust and bring cooler air into the engine, reducing engine wear and improving fuel economy. They also lift the air intake for deep water crossings. Through the Jackson oil fields, heading now for the sealed roads of eastern Australia, and the last bush camp of the trip.
This is our last and final camp. It's been a good trip. I've crossed this country a number of times in base model vehicles, all ranges of vehicles, but it really comes down to how comfortable you are and how capable the vehicles are. And the thing that aftermarket products do to a vehicle is really appreciated out in this country. The TJM products have performed really well. The suspension has been ideal and the vehicles have been really well set up. Lighting, snorkels, all that sort of stuff.
Sheep, cattle, emus, kangaroos, horses and camels are encountered on this trip, highlighting the importance of bull bars to protect vehicle and occupants, just in case the worst happens. Steel and aluminium bull bars are fitted to all expedition vehicles, including those fitted with airbags. TJM has invested heavily in research, development and testing to ensure bars installed on airbag-equipped vehicles are compatible with the airbag systems. It's imperative that only airbag-certified bars are installed to these vehicles. Then to Cape Byron. On day 14, just 2 weeks after leaving Perth, the expedition arrives at the easternmost point of Australia, Cape Byron. And at Cape Byron, the water that's travelled with the expedition all the way from the Indian Ocean is poured into the Pacific. A successful crossing. The expedition and how the vehicles handled it demonstrate how TJM Products manufactures the world's best specialist vehicle equipment.
It's been invaluable to test our equipment in such a short space of time, particularly the newly developed suspension product and the 100 series product.
I think seeing this country's whole assets, I've never, even though I've been born here and lived here my whole life, I've never seen all of this before. And to see it in one whole trip was just fantastic.
It was a great opportunity to come and visit another country and meet all these people with these strange accents, and to see vehicles that we don't have in the United States, and just to meet people from another country.
I've enjoyed it from a personal point of view as far as learning how to drive in this sort of terrain, as well as getting out in the country and visiting something I haven't seen before.
It's been great showing everybody some of this great country we've had the chance to see a lot of, and I don't have to cook again.
It's just been a chance to see this vast country of ours and have a chance to meet some interesting people along the way.
オーストラリアはすごく大きな国でとても美しいです。最高です。
Very exciting for such a big country and travel with the TJM team, and I'm very happy just to give a chance for Mr. Lord Taylor and TJM team. Thank you very much.
In one word, it was an amazing experience, and I'm looking forward to the 26th anniversary of TJM.
Undoubtedly a fabulous country and a brilliant test bed for vehicle and product.
TJM Products, world leaders in equipment to prepare stock four-wheel drive vehicles for off-road recreation and commercial use. TJM Products, improving comfort, safety and practicability for more than a quarter of a century.